What is up, YouTube? It is your boy Animar Sports here. It has been a while. I am walking back into your lives here on YouTube. God, that was the cheesiest thing I've ever done in my life. But it's okay. Today we're going to be talking about my predictions for the 2021 season. Who's going to finish in first place? Who's going to finish in last place in their division? We're going to talk about every single division in this video. If you want to hear me go more in depth on these, I do have a podcast called the Diamond in the Rough podcast. I'll have it linked in the description. We had just released our first episode on the NL Central, where we go super in-depth. We spend about 10 minutes or so talking about each team, then give our projections, things like that. So if you want a longer version of this, it is in the description below. Just the AL Central video should be released right now, so give that one a listen. If you want to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, it's NMRSports30. That'll also be in the description. I also stream on Twitch 3 days a week. I just released my new stream schedule. You'll see it on Twitter. But yeah, we can talk more about baseball there. I also have a Discord where you can throw some hot takes in. But when you're listening to this video here, I want you guys to throw your predictions for the 2021 season in the comment section below. So if you're listening to this, go ahead and tell me who you think the 2021 division leaders are going to be, who's going to finish in last, and give me your hottest take down there, because I'm pretty curious what everybody thinks, and I want to have some more baseball discussion, so let's talk about it. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get right into the video and start talking about the American League. All right, so let's talk all about the American League East. Now, we're going to start it off. Let's see. I'm going to start with the bottom of the division and go to the top. So we're going to start off with the last place team, the AL East. Obviously, it's going to be the Baltimore Orioles. They don't have that bad of a roster. They just really have no pitching. I kind of like their lineup. I really like Anthony Santander. He had a good year last year, and Trey Mancini is back. So I'm really excited to see him. They're going to be a fun team to watch next year. It's not like you're not going to want to see these Orioles games. They're honestly going to be a lot more competitive than people think they are. They're just not going to they're not going to win nearly enough games to make a postseason spot. So it's going to be a tough year for the Orioles, but at least Trey Mancini's back, so you have a little bit coming up, and hopefully Adley Rutschman can make his debut. As far as prospects go, he's a lot younger than, or he's a little bit older than some of the young guys coming up, like Tatis and Soto. I actually saw a tweet about him that said, I wonder what Juan Soto's going to look like when he's Adley Rutschman's age. So hopefully he comes up and is a stud. Ryan Mountcastle is coming up as well. So they have a few young guys in that squad. I just don't think they have the pitching to get the job done at the moment, but Orioles will be the 5th place team. I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox in the 4th place hole. They have Chris Sale coming back healthy. Alex Verdugo is going to have a full season. He's poised to break out. They signed Kike Hernandez. They signed Hunter Renfroe. JD Martinez is coming back with another full season after having a rough 2020. Bobby Dalbec is up. They have a few other young guys. Obviously, Xander Bogaerts is a stud in that lineup. Rafi Devers is really good. They have good pieces all over the roster, and I really like their lineup. Their bullpen is okay now that they have Adam Ottavino at the end of it, but at the end of the day, I think Chris Sale is going to make a big impact on them and winning a lot more games next year than they would have last year. So Red Sox are definitely a 4th place team, I feel like, but they could challenge the 3rd place in this division if they get on a hot streak. I don't know if they quite have the pitching to get it done, but I do like the top of their rotation with Chris Sale, Nate Eovaldi, and hopefully Eduardo Rodriguez coming back. And then they have a few solid bullpen arms to add to that as well. Now in 3rd place, I'm going to have the Tampa Bay Rays. I live about 20 minutes from them, but my God, motherfucker named Randy, dude. Randy Arozarena is just so good. He looked so good in the postseason. It's hard to believe he's going to be anything but elite next year. I know he has way too high expectations, and he's probably just going to play like a normal rookie would. But at the end of the day, I think Randy Arozarena is going to be a huge addition to their squad, playing every day for them. They still have Brandon Lau, who was amazing last year. They still have Austin Meadows, who's really good. G-Man Choi just hits whenever they need him to, no matter what. I believe Michael Brasseau is still there, Joey Wendell, Kevin Kiermaier. So they definitely have some guys on that squad. They re-signed Mike Zunino, which is kind of a weird one. And they also re-signed a lot of project pitchers, I feel like Michael Wacha still has potential. Chris Archer, still has potential. Tyler Glasnow has that ace potential, and apparently he's been working on a cutter and slider. So definitely the Rays are a team to be worried about in this division. I thought they were a 4th place team for a while, but after these signings they've made and how good they are at developing talent, I really think the Rays are going to probably sneak into that 3rd place spot. Now, with that being said, that does mean the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be my 2nd place team in this division. They signed George Springer, which is huge for this team, and getting another bat in that squad, another veteran bat, I should say, because they have a lot of good young talent. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to be healthy next year. He looks a lot better. I think he lost 48 pounds is what I'm hearing. He looks a lot skinnier, a lot more athletic, and he said he was kind of embarrassed how much he weighed last year, so he's going to be a stud next year. Bo Bichette hopefully will have a full healthy season for the first time. Teoscar Hernandez was really good last year. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is really young and good. Randall Grichuk's their 4th best outfielder. They're going to be fine. I didn't even mention Kevin Biggio. I didn't even mention Rowdy Tellez, who was really good last year. They're going to be just fine. I really like that team. The only thing I could see them improve on is starting pitching, but they're still going to be good enough to make second place in this division, especially with adding big bullpen arms like Kirby Yates at the back end of that back end of that bullpen. So I'm really high on the Blue Jays, but not quite as high as I am on the next team on our list. The New York Yankees coming at the number 1 spot, obviously, in the NL East. They're just too damn good. And going into the season, from what we know now, Judge and Stanton are healthy. How long will that last? I don't know, but my God, if it lasts a whole season, God help us. Just watch out. It is going to be terrifying if either one of them lasts a whole season. Even if Judge goes down and Stanton's healthy or vice versa, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Even with both of them out, they're still a force to be reckoned with. They have 4 really solid outfielders, even 5 if you count Michael Tauchman. All 5 of those guys would probably be starters on a lot of MLB teams, including my Angels. I feel like Mike Tauchman could be a starting right fielder for us. But Judge, Stanton, Corey Kluber's over there now. Obviously, Garrett Cole's a big stud. DJ LeMahieu's a huge stud over there. Gleyber Torres having a full season at shortstop will be a really nice thing to see. Wasn't amazing last year, but he had a great 2019 season, so 2021 should be really good for him. Gary Sanchez could have another breakout year. He's been pretty bad the last season and a half or so, but I do have faith in Gary Sanchez. He's another guy who's lost a lot of weight this offseason, looks a little bit more athletic, and he's just too talented to not play at least at a replacement level, if not above average, offensively, especially with the power numbers, hit at least 20 or 30 home runs, potentially has 40 or 50 home run power, but 20 home runs I would be okay with. 30 home runs would be exceptional for me. Not even to mention Clint Frazier, their starting left fielder. Luke Voigt could lead the league in home runs. God, they just have so much talent on that team. It really hurts. They're so good. Anyways, Yankees, first place by a long shot. Probably the best team in the American League, but we're going to move on to this next division, and the team at the top of that division might give them a run for their money. Next, we're going to move on to the American League Central Division, and in last place, I think we're all going to know we got to have the Detroit Tigers in last place for me. They did add a lot. They actually had a pretty good offseason for a last place team. They added Robbie Grossman, they added Wilson Ramos, they re-signed Jonathan Scope, Nomar Mazara they added, and they also have a lot of young talent on this team between Willie Castro, Heimer Candelario is pretty decent. Casey Mize is supposed to be an absolute stud, and they still have some good guys in the farm system that could come up and be pretty good. So at the end of the day, I do really like this Detroit Tigers team as a last place team. Kind of like the Orioles. I might even like the Tigers a little bit better than the Orioles. But yeah, they're a last place team. There's not really much else to say about them other than that they are a last place team, unfortunately for the Tigers fans. Now we're in 4th place team. This might be a little bit of a hot take. I'm actually going to go with the Cleveland Indians. Now I can already see some people getting mad at me. Let me defend this a little bit. I just can't do it with their lineup, man. I cannot do it with their lineup. They have Jose Ramirez, who's an absolute stud. After that, I'm just not confident in anybody on that team, I feel like. Like, realistically, I don't know. Hopefully they bring up Nolan Jones and he's a stud. They traded for Ahmed Rosario. They traded for Andres Jimenez. But yeah, at the end of the day, obviously they have amazing pitching and that's what's going to carry them to get a lot of wins. But I don't know if pitching's going to help that much if you can't score any runs. Jose Ramirez is the only guy in that lineup I can see scoring runs. And the problem when you have one good player on your team is why pitch to him? Why pitch to him? We saw it with Josh Bell last year on the Pirates. There's no reason to pitch to a good player on a bad lineup. So at the end of the day, I'm kind of worried for Jose Ramirez next year as well. So I just don't think the Indians have enough offense to produce. Obviously, Shane Bieber could be the best pitcher in baseball next year if he can keep up what he was doing in 2020. Zach Plesac is really good. Emmanuel Clase is going to be back from his suspension, and he is a really hard-throwing younger kid out there. They have a really solid bullpen that people don't talk about, and their rotation's lights out. But at the end of the day, like I said, you got to score runs to win ball games. We saw it happen with them last year with Francisco Lindor and Carlos Santana with that lineup, and they still couldn't score runs. So I don't know in 2021 how they're going to score any more runs this year. I know a lot of people will say even though that they are going to be a 3rd place team, but I'm going to give them a 4th place team slot just because I don't believe in their offense. Sorry. Now we're going to move on to my 3rd place pick that a lot of people are going to be surprised I put ahead of the Indians. That is going to be the Kansas City Royals. Now, when you look at this Kansas City Royals lineup, it is really solid and their bullpen and rotation isn't that bad. Is it amazing? Is it good enough to make the playoffs? Probably not, but it's good enough. It's not like the Indians where they have like an awful lineup and an amazing rotation. They have a good lineup with a solid rotation and bullpen. So at the end of the day, I will give the Royals the slight edge just because they have guys like Jorge Soler, Adalberto Mondesi could go off at any minute. Have a year next year like he had a month of July last year where he hits for power, he hits for on-base percentage, he steals a ton of bags, he's one of the fastest players in the league, if not the fastest. He's exciting. Whit Merrifield's great with the bat. They just signed Carlos Santana this offseason. Salvador Perez is a really good catcher. I know I'm forgetting some people right now. Oh yeah, they traded for Andrew Benintendi, Benny Biceps as they call him. So they definitely have a lot of good guys. I'm sorry for all the guys I didn't include. But at the end of the day, I do like the Royals, and they have good guys like Brady Singer coming up to be solid studs in that rotation, and they signed some decent bullpen arms this offseason. So I could really see the Royals making some noise. Definitely not making the playoffs, but a third place team in the Central Division. That's kind of weak until you get to these top two teams we'll talk about. Now, speaking of these top two teams, we have to go with the Minnesota Twins in the number 2 spot in the AL Central. If you put the White Sox in the number 2 spot in the AL Central, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. I'm gonna pick up my microphone. You're wrong. The Twins are a good team. They're a good ball club. They have no starting pitching whatsoever after Kenta Maeda. They have a great lineup. I love their lineup. There's nothing wrong with it. Byron Buxton's a stud. They re-signed Nelson Cruz, who's the ageless wonder. They signed Anderson Simmons, so they're going to have good defense. I don't dislike the Twins. I just love the fucking White Sox. The White Sox are so good. You cannot put the Twins above them. The Twins will probably win about 90 games. They're in that conversation. I guarantee you they'll make a playoff spot. But at the end of the day, man, I don't see the Twins winning this division just because of how good the White Sox are. Now, they did add Alex Colomé, who's going to be a good closer for them next year, I feel like. They added J.A. Happ, which I really don't like for this team. It seems like, I don't know. This team seems like they go all in on their hitting, and then they just kind of leave their pitching to go, kind of like the Angels do. But they're a little bit better offensively, which is why they always seem to make the playoffs. So, yeah. Not super high on the Twins, but they are a good enough team to make the playoffs again and probably get swept in the playoffs. But, yeah. Twins, second place team in the division. Now let's talk about my possibly favorite team in baseball now. Obviously, I'm an Angels fan, but I can't resist loving this team. The Chicago White Sox, man. The Chicago White Sox are so good. They were so good last year, but they had a lot of young guys who are still developing. Eloy Jimenez is turning into one of the best hitters in baseball. Luis Robert has so much potential, so much potential. He hasn't really realized that yet, but he has great defense already. He has great speed. All he has to do is get a little bit better with contact, lower the strikeout numbers, and I could see Luis Robert being a future MVP candidate. Probably not next year exactly, but definitely down the road. Obviously, Jose Abreu won the MVP last year. He's an absolute stud. Yohan Moncada hasn't even been playing up to his potential, and he's an absolute stud in that lineup. Tim Anderson's going to be their starting shortstop. He is really, really good. Nick Madrigal. I honestly forgot Nick Madrigal was around, but he's an absolute stud young prospect who could be really good for them next year. Not to mention their pitching. Lucas Giolito could be a top 10 pitcher in baseball next year. They traded for Lance Lynn, who's a really good veteran presence to have in that rotation, who's been really good the last few years with Texas. Michael Kopech is still coming up and probably going to be a stud in that rotation. I don't know if that's this year or next year, a few years down the line, but he throws insanely hard. Even if they just use him in a bullpen role, he's going to be absolutely lights out there. Dallas Keuchel's a really good arm they have out there, and I can't even remember the end of the rotation. I think they got like Dylan Cease or something. But of course, how can I forget they signed Liam Hendricks, the best closer in all of baseball. They still have guys like Garrett Crochet who are in their bullpen who throw 102 or whatever. Left-handed pitcher there. Jimmy Cordero throws gas. They just have an absolute stable of guys back there, to quote Kevin Cash. And they're going to be a scary team. They're going to be a scary team to deal with. And honestly, I could see them putting up triple-digit wins. I don't think that's out of the question. They have such a good lineup. The only weak spot in their lineup is honestly a free agent they signed this year in Adam Eaton. But I really think at the end of the day, they are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the American League. I didn't even mention Yasmani Grandal. I am literally just thinking of guys off the top of my head. They just have such a stacked lineup. They have such a stacked rotation. They have such a stacked bullpen. The White Sox are the first place team in the AL Central. If you disagree with that, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. I've seen a lot of projections that have the Twins over them. They're just absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. I will not listen to any criticism on this take. Now let's hop into the AL West. Of course, I'm an Angels fan, so I'm a little bit biased in here, but I will do the best I can to not be biased. Once you hear my list, I think you'll agree with me. Now we're going to start off with the Texas Rangers coming in at 5th place. Not because they didn't have a good offseason, just because they they just didn't have a good roster. It sucks. They did really good they did really well, I should say, correct grammar. They did really well this offseason with getting guys like David Dahl, trading for young prospects like Dane Dunning. Obviously, they have Leody Taveras in their outfield. I think they signed Mike Fulton-Yevich to a deal. They have, Jose Leclerc still in their bullpen. Obviously, Joey Gallo's a stud for them, Willie Calhoun. They have a few solid pieces in this team. It's not like they're going to be the worst team in baseball. And I'm kind of excited to see what they do next year. Do I expect them to make the playoffs? No. Do I expect them to make even 4th place in the American League West? No. But they are going to be a fun team to watch, and I'm kind of excited. If you're a Rangers fan, you obviously aren't going to be watching any playoff baseball, but it's going to be cool to watch some of these guys develop and see how they turn into next year. I could see Dane Dunning being a breakout stud. I could see David Dahl turning into a stud. There's all sorts of different options on this team that could be good, and they could bring up guys like Josh Jung and have them on the team going into maybe halfway through the season or so, just to get them some major league reps in. So honestly, it's a pretty exciting year for the Rangers, but definitely a 5th place team in my opinion. Now with that being said, we're going to move into the 4th place team in the American League West, the Seattle Mariners. Now the Seattle Mariners have a lot of good talent on their roster, but they need to bring up some guys like Jared Kelenic. They went out and signed James Paxton, which helps their case for pitching. They still have Marco Gonzalez. They signed Ken Giles, but he's going to be out for this year, unfortunately, which is kind of going to suck for them. At the end of the day, I think their pitching is what's going to hold them back from being at the top of this division, or in the conversation to be at the top of this division. But guys like Kyle Lewis really good last year. Evan White needs to perform a little bit better with his prospect status. Mitch Haniger is going to be back, and Mitch Haniger used to be an absolute stud, so him coming back could be a big deal for this team. I believe they still have Kyle Seager at 3rd base. Taylor Trammell is another prospect they could bring up, so who knows? If they bring up their prospects and play a little bit better, they could be in the conversation for 2nd or 3rd in the future. I think they got a few years though until they're trying for the 1st place in the AL West. Your 3rd place team is the Anaheim Angels. Oh my God, Angels. It's so painful, man. The Angels had every opportunity this offseason to take this division by storm and literally just say, that's mine. I'm taking it. I'm the best team in this division. I'm going to prove it. We have the best player in baseball. We have the 8th best player in baseball. We have young stud prospects. We got all this stuff going for us. We just don't have any pitching. And what do? They sign Jose Quintana. They trade for Alex Cobb. The only piece that they got that I like is Raisel Iglesias, and he's not even like the best closer in baseball. He wasn't even the best closer available via free agent signing or trade. You could have spent more money like the Dodgers did. You could have gone out and got Bauer. You could have gone out and got all sorts of different guys. Trevor Rosenthal was available. Kirby Yates was available. Ken Giles was available, just not this year, so that kind of would have been weird. Mark Melancon was available. Yasmira Petit. I could just go on and on, just naming guys they could have gone out and got, and they got nobody. They didn't fill their right field hole. So right now, we literally have Dexter Fowler starting in right field for us when we could have had Jock Peterson. We could have had Kyle Schwarber. Even Nomar Mazara I'll take over Dexter Fowler. There were so many good options available this season. We signed Kurt Suzuki to be our backup catcher in replacement of Max Stassi, who's going to be having hip surgery. I don't know if he's going to be ready for opening day or not. I think he will be. That's kind of whatever. That doesn't really matter. But still, trading for Jose Iglesias, I did like that move. Raisel Iglesias, I did like that move. And honestly, at the end of the day, Griffin Canning could be a stud. Shohei Ohtani's showing some great signs in spring training right now. Obviously, Dylan Bundy had a really good year last year. He could be really good. All sorts of different things. I didn't mean to get on such a negative rant. At the end of the day, the Angels have a really good lineup. I think Shohei Ohtani is going to have a breakout season this year. I think Griffin Canning will emerge as a good starting pitcher. Maybe not a great, but a good. Andrew Heaney's got to get it together. I would love to see him be a solid, number 2, number 3 type, but he's kind of played his whole year like he's a number 4 starter. His whole career that he's a number 4 starter. So at the end of the day, I like this Angels roster. We need big performances from guys like Jared Walsh. We could use some Justin Upton power in that lineup. Albert Pujols, this might be his last year in the major leagues. Max Stassi needs to perform up to his ability. But obviously, building a team around Mike Trout and Anthony Rendon is a very easy task to do. I don't know what's taking him so long to make the playoffs. And honestly, with my projections, I don't have them making the playoffs. So another playoff-less year for Mike Trout and Anthony Rendon. It sucks. It sucks to see. Sucks to be an Angels fan right now, but enough negativity out of the way. Let's go on to the 2nd place team, which might actually shock you. We're going to go with the Houston Astros in 2nd place. Now, the Houston Astros would be the king of this division, but they don't have Justin Verlander healthy to start the season. They lost George Springer, which sucks for them. It's big time. They re-signed Michael Brantley, which is pretty good, but last year Jose Altuve was pretty bad for them. So they still have a really good lineup. I just don't really believe in their bullpen. They did lose, what's his name? Roberto Osuna, which I honestly could see them re-signing over Roberto Osuna, because pretty much the entire league hates him, and the only person who would really give him a job is the Astros, because everyone hates them already. So at the end of the day, I do think they might re-sign him, and if they re-sign him and they have a solid closer, I might have a little bit more faith in the Astros, but at the end of the day, I don't think they really have the pitching to win this division. Now, I do really like Yordan Alvarez. Kyle Tucker was really good last year. Carlos Correa is a stud, no matter how much I hate him, and Alex Bregman is potentially an MVP candidate next year. So I do really like this team going into 2021, but at the end of the day, I am going to put them in second place just because of some of the moves that this team made, and they're always very sneaky. Now, this team, of course, I'm referring to the Oakland Athletics. Now, the Oakland Athletics, I had them probably in third place until they made some sneaky moves recently. Now, I'm not talking about the Elvis Andrus trade. Obviously, who cares about the Elvis Andrus trade? I'm mainly talking about signing Mitch Moreland to be their starting DH, and Trevor Rosenthal and Yusmeiro Petit to be solid studs in that bullpen back there. Now, Mitch Moreland has actually had a really good career that not a lot of people give him credit for. He's been really good every year, and he provides a lot of solid power. Obviously, he's better against righties, but at the end of the day, Matt Olson is the only lefty in their lineup right now. Ramon Laureato's a righty, Steven Piscotty's a righty, Matt Chapman's a righty, Elvis Andrus is a righty, Sean Murphy's a righty, so they really don't have any left-handed bats besides Matt Olson. So they needed another good left-handed bat to replace, just to be in that lineup, of course. And then obviously with trading Chris Davis, they needed that power bat to be their DH. So Mitch Moreland's a huge addition to this squad. And then obviously Trevor Rosenthal, Yusmeiro Petit, and they also have Jake Diekman in that bullpen. They're going to have a very solid bullpen, because if you have three solid guys like that, I think you're going to be a really good team, and bullpen is a very important thing to have in baseball nowadays. They also have a pretty good rotation. Jesus Luzardo is a stud prospect who could be really good. Sean Manaea is pretty decent. Chris Bassett's also pretty solid, so we'll see what the A's go into next season. I just have a feeling, I just have a hunch they're going to win the division now with those solid additions to the bullpen and their lineup. All right, everyone, that is going to do it for us in this one. It's going to be part one. I'm going to split it into two parts just because I have so much to talk about with these divisions. We're going to talk about the National League tomorrow morning. I'll have that one posted and edited out to you guys tonight, but I'm about to go live on Twitch, so I'll see you guys over there. If we can get this thing to 10 likes, I will schedule to post it at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. That is a promise. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to check out my Twitch, it's in my description below. Sorry. I also have my social medias, all that jazz. Thanks again so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy the content and you're ready for part 2 tomorrow. Turn those post notifications on so you can be notified when it goes live. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.